Hello, beloveds. Reverend Kristen here. Delighted that you are here joining us. Oh, it is October 2nd, 2022. We are flying through this year. One thing before we get started, I would like to all take a moment and send our love and our prayers and our support out to everyone that has been affected by the hurricane's damage. If you are interested in donating specifically for that, for the relief fund, when you send your monies in or online, just put in the memo that it is for the hurricane relief. The plan is there are a couple of CSLs that have experienced damage, and they also have congregants that have um, damage as well. So the intention is to gather the monies, and depending upon how much, whether we divide it between a couple of centers and then they disperse it amongst their community, or if we select one. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call at 805-396-3358 and we can talk about it further. Uh, anyway, love, just sending loads and loads of love in this difficult time. Okay, so I had written my talk, was all ready to go, and yesterday I did a bunch of ministerial stuff and I was gone most of the day. But I came home and I just was gonna reread my notes, and then I'm reading this book. So that was what I was going to do, just kind of just run through everything one more time. And I'm like, I don't want to do it in my office. So I went and I sat, propped up, mind you, on my bed with my reading material. And the next thing I know, I didn't plan on taking a nap. It was too late in the day, whatever story I have in my head of why I wasn't going to nap. I didn't even want a nap. Let's say that. I just didn't even want a nap. I just wanted to go over what I was doing. Next thing I know, I was startled awake. And I was startled awake by coughing dogs, growling dogs, and they were all around me. So it was like a little dog uh, upset was happening. And I opened my eyes and it was dark. It was dark. I couldn't see the dogs. I couldn't see outside my window. I mean, it was completely dark. And I didn't know where I was. I was so discombobulated that there started to be this little panic within me. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, whether in my case of being asleep, but if a little panic of, you come out of the shopping center and you don't remember where you parked your car. And for whatever reason of not being completely in balance, that a little bit of panic or a little bit of fear comes in. So that is what I was experiencing. And 1 second, please. I meant to hit start on this. Uh, what I ended up doing was I kind of did a body scan after I, was firm with the dogs and said, stop. Is this a medical emergency? And I was so out of it that I went to the extreme of what possibly could go wrong. Like I was swirling and crazy thoughts going around in my head. And yes, right now I'm being more dramatic than it actually was when it happened, but it's important for me to recognize this and be able to share it with you, because at the end of it, I received gifts. I received gifts of knowledge and wisdom, really more knowledge. Yeah, wisdom. Anyway, so my initial reaction was I need to jump up so I can make sense of all of this. Like if I just jump up, it'll all it'll all make sense. But I didn't. I decided to try something different. And I laid in bed. What I did is I rearranged in bed because when I fell asleep, I literally fell asleep like so, not very comfortable. But I laid down on my back, put my hands across my chest like this, and till I could regain my balance or my understanding. So, first thing that I always do when I remember to do it, but the first thing I do is go into prayer. And my prayer was for the divinity, my divinity of peace and balance, that there is no harm taking place and it is peace and balance. From there, I focused on my breathing through my nose, out my mouth, through my nose, out my mouth, until I could feel the tension from my body starting to relax. And then something interesting happened. I was able to answer my questions. Because one of the questions I asked, I don't know if I recently saw it in a movie, but it's like everything that I've ever known showed up and it was like, what year is it? And I'm like, I don't know. Is it 2022? Is it 2023? What's happening? So you can see how that might create a little anxiety. So the third thing I did is I just let my mind wander, and my mind wandered to the story of Rip Van Winkle. That maybe I had a Rip Van Winkle moment. And I haven't read that story. It was the kids' story for a trillion years. So I had to go and reacquaint myself. But basically, this gentleman went off. I'm gonna make it my story. He went off in the mountain and he took some spirits with him because every time there seems to be something that happens that's wacky. It's like, is alcohol involved? Just saying. It just always seems like something like that happens. Anyway, Rip Van Winkle takes off and he goes and he sits by a tree and falls asleep. He falls asleep for 20 years. And in my head, I'm like, he must not have FOMO. And I'm like, FOMO. I don't even know if they knew about the fear of missing out back then because it's hundreds of years ago. Well, that's interesting. So he didn't have the fear of missing out, and he was out there looking for solitude or walking away from his problems or whatever works for you in this story. Why he went off to sit by the tree, but he did it again for 20 years. So by then, I had my light on, had my books open, had my phone, and I'm like, what does the number 20 mean? And so I did a little research, and the symbolic meaning of the number 20 is a sign of balance and harmony. So it symbolizes the perfect balance between mind, body, and spirit. And we talk about that a lot. And I'm like, that's very interesting that fits with our teaching so well that I'll just continue down this rabbit hole. And then it goes on and about the number 20, that you may be entering a spiritual journey and connecting with a higher power. It also might be a sign of peace and tranquility. So I sat with that and giggled with that a little bit and went, huh, okay. So he went to do this, falls asleep for 20 years. Nothing awakens him. Like he goes through a civil war. Um, did they send out people looking for him? I have no idea. And what happens is he comes to and he realizes there's been a war and his wife was gone and he couldn't locate any familiarity. Like uh, he was just in a different time. Okay, so time went on without him. I have opened my phone up to get some dates. So the story was originally published in 1819. The author is Washington Irving. Um, but it does say that it's about just an ordinary 19th century man who lives in the Dutch Catskills, which is currently the Catskills of New York. Says he struggled with his nagging wife, Dame Van Winkle, and in an effort to escape her on an especially bad day, he flees to the woods with his dog and his gun, and they left out the booze. So that's that. So he took off. Um, but again, time moved on. Time moved on to, and he missed out. My question though is, in that 20 years, with the if there's a symbolic meaning to that, did he find some balance and harmony while he was um, asleep for those 20 years? Who knows? Anyway, Ernest Holmes, the book is our textbook. Ernest Holmes is the founder of Science of Mind. And I want to read one of his short meditations. I'm going to read it through once and then we will close our eyes and then I'll just have you listen. I went into a mountain. I have discovered a secret place within where the thought goes into a mountain high above the din of the world. I have found in this mountain a place of peace and rest, a place of joy and comfort to the heart. I have found that the secret place of God is within my own soul. I will listen for thy voice. Okay, close your eyes. Take a breath in through your nose and let it go. I have discovered a secret place within where the thought goes into a mountain high above the din of the world. I have found in this mountain a place of peace and rest, a place of joy and comfort to thy heart. I have found that the secret place of God is within my own soul. I will listen for thy voice. Open your eyes, and we're back. So there is a place within us that knows, that has the wisdom to and has all the qualities of spirit. So whether it's balance or harmony or peace, and there's many, many more, love. Rip Van Winkle went off, and not knowing if he went off to find balance and harmony or if he just went off to be in his own space. But when we're in our own space and we open up our mind and we recognize that there is spirit within us, that is where change happens. Time continues. The only thing that doesn't change is change. We are in constant movement of change. We're in a constant movement of time continuing on. And sometimes I get keyed up and that I am running out of time, that I'm running out of time and I need to keep going and going and going and going and going. What happened yesterday with me, especially since it wasn't planned and I'm a planner, I got off kilter. And instead of jumping up like I talked about, I went through a spiritual practice made up on the spot to help me come back to my spiritual self in mind, body, and soul. Yes. And we can do that through our breathing. We can do that through prayer, chanting, etc. So the talk title today is Time After Time, which is a song written by Cyndi Lauper from the 80s. And this whole month, we're talking about relationships, all different kinds of relationships. But today, we're talking about the relationship with spirit and ourself and growing that and nurturing that and watching it bloom, whether it takes 20 years to find it or today's the first day you woken up and you're like, oh, I want to know more and more and more. Or you've been practicing for 20 years, 10, doesn't matter, but we're always in this practice. We're always in this space of learning. So the chorus of Time After Time is, if you're if you're lost, you can look and you will find me time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me time after time. If you fall, I will catch you and I'll be waiting for you time after time. I wish I could sing like her. And she's still rocking it and looking fabulous. And those words of, if you're lost, you can look and you will find me. That is that all these things with time, people might leave you. There might be changes. You might, life continues. And the thing that you're never going to lose, you are never, ever, ever, ever can lose spirit. Spirit, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it, the universe, mother, father, whatever you name it, it will never leave you. What might happen is you might forget, especially we forget when life is going fabulous, that there's a tendency to take our foot off of our practice, kind of like you're driving a car and you got the foot on the gas. If you have the foot on the gas, you are propelling forward. If you take your foot off the gas, you start to slow down. So in good times, we have a tendency to forget. And even in your forgetting, the universe continues to give. It continues to give out to everything equally. Okay. In times that in need, if you're going through something, that's the time when, especially when we're troubled, we are reminded or we start to put our foot on the gas to get some forward movement in our spiritual practice to find our balance and to find our harmony. Not that it's been lost anywhere, we have just merely forgotten. And again, in those times, the universe continues to give. It is there all the time, all the time. Balance and peace is there all the time. And it is ours to recognize that. It is ours to claim that. It is ours to recognize that I am divine and you are divine. and to step into that without the ego going, ooh, I'm better than so and so, and I measure myself up to so and I'm less than or I'm more than, and blah blah blah, all that chatter. Right here and right now, I am divine. 10 minutes from now, I am divine. Whatever is going on, if I forget, I am still divine, and I'm full of balance and peace. And once I recognize that, I bring my balance and peace and I claim it. And again, my body, my mind, and my soul are in alignment. So think about a time where something like this has happened to you and you've been rattled. Um, Another one that I'll give is an example of if your mind is going and going and going and you're not in the present moment. I have been not recognizing I wasn't in the present moment. And the next thing I notice is the off ramp of State Street in Santa Barbara. Okay. I live in Camarillo, California. My destination was not Santa Barbara, but I got in this fog. Whatever was going on, it took me away from being in the present moment. Actually, kind of scary because I was driving a car and all of that, but it shook me. I felt like there was something wrong. Got off the freeway, and again, I went into prayer. I worked on my breathing. And that particular situation, it was I'm alive and alert and awake and aware. Thank you, God. And I'm going to continue to be alive, alert, awake, and aware. So everyone around me is safe as I drive this metal contraption down the road at high speeds. I claimed it back. I reminded myself, I reminded my mind that had wandered off to come back and be present. And in that presence, I I am open and more aware to allow spirit and recognize spirit is flowing through and working as me. So if you have an experience like that, let me know. Share it. How did you come out of that moment? Or are you not sure how to come out of the moment? And your takeaway today is, oh, first step, go into prayer. Second step, breathe. You could either do breathe first or prayer. Claim it. Take the time you need. Don't rush through things. Take the time and step out being whole, perfect, and complete and present. That all is working in divine right order. And then you're at your top place. You're at the place where you are then shining as a beacon of light. And that beacon of light, people see that. And then somebody might come up and ask you a question. And your response in that moment might seem like it meant nothing, but it might have meant the world to that person that you said those words to. They remember who you are, but you don't remember who they are because it was in passing. Every single time we come into contact with another person, we have the opportunity to make that connection the best ever that is filled with peace and balance and love. That takeaway from that interaction is peace, balance, and love. That I felt seen. I felt heard. Now, I don't think we all take it to that level, but to keep that as what your intention is. Your intention is, or my intention is, to do no harm. So I show up as a loving presence. I show up as that loving presence and I do my spiritual work to make sure that I'm balanced and I'm at peace. And those days that I feel like walking off like Rip Van Winkle and just walking away from it all, I too then go into spiritual practice. And the question is, or what I come out of it is not mine to run away, to walk away. It's mine to be present and be that love, that vessel of love as we walk through this thing called life. And we do it with grace, we do it with beauty, we do it in joy. And sometimes it's not joyful, but we continue on that path to get to our destination. And the destination is to be a light in this world. We need more lights. We need your light. And start with yourself, filter it out to your family. Sometimes it's easier to after yourself is to work with someone you don't know. And literally, it's just whether you react or you respond. I respond in love and kindness, which at the end of today, our new closing song is the Buddhist blessing. So that's another thing that you can say to yourself before you interact if it's a difficult situation. It's been a delight being with you today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please know that you are loved here at the Camarillo Center for Spiritual Living. And until next time, love you. Hey, now we're going to go into prayer. We're going to go into prayer. Let's rub our hands together and feel that energy. Today, I've just cooped up with energy. I feel like I could run around the block. But we're going to go into prayer. So you can close your eyes or keep your eyes open. Prayer works either way. And here we go. How grateful am I to be able to come together, with my brothers, sisters, and siblings and claim who we are. We are all children of spirit. We are all children of the universe. We are all children of God. And God is a loving, peaceful, balanced, abundant wisdom, and on and on and on. But today I focus on the balance and the peace. And I know and I claim through the words of Cyndi Lauper that I am never lost, that if you are lost, you can look and you'll find me time after time. There is no time in God. So I open my arms and I embrace my bigness. I embrace my divinity. I embrace and stand on the sacred ground I am on. And I know I am here on this planet to do good work. And knowing that for myself, I know that for each and every person that is hearing this prayer. I claim that and I know that to be the truth. And I speak it and speak it and speak it. I speak my words out into the universe, for the universe only says yes. That's what its response is. It is never no. So I ask, knowing that it will be revealed and I can receive. I send love, love, love continuously out to the entire world, out to the people that are having joyous moments, out to the people that are struggling. My level of love does not change regardless of the situation. So in this big abundance of love, this big abundance of peace, I lay my words down on the altar, for it is already done in the mind of God. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Blessings, everyone.